Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Ni no Kuni. Now, oddly this time, maybe it was just a weird fluke, I've left this game completely paused for at least 12 hours and nothing happened. It's perfectly fine, it seems. It didn't crash or anything, so that may have just been a one-time fluke. It may have been that I even did something else. Just don't remember what I did. Because I was changing out a monitor, so I may have unplugged the monitor and that may have caused the problem. Uh, There is something to be said here. We need to spend the night. This game is definitely leading us by the nose as far as quests. Uh, Around the idea of the name, if you were Japanese, and if my translation is correct, and I'm almost 100% certain it is, Ni no Kuni translates literally to I am the king, which kind of spoils what you would just assume is going to happen to Oliver at the end of this game is that he's going to be revered as a king. I do not believe Kuni would be anywhere close to the right word for wizard or sorcerer, um, which is the only thing that they've really bestowed upon him is that he's become a sorcerer. Welcome to one of Cat's Cradle's chain of premium inns. I'm not going to do the puns. We pride ourselves on the practicality and on our practicality and pricing. Okay, so it's 10 gold. We have 153 to stay. So if you had lost recently, if like on the way to Ding Dong Dell, you fought in a fight and you died and you lost all of your gems, all of your gold down to less than 10, you might be in a bit of a trouble. Normally, what you would like to see, particularly since this is supposed to be a kid's game, you would have liked them to have given you 10 gold when you restored the brokenheartedness of the guard, as a way of just making sure every single player, no matter what, would have had 10 gold when they entered this city, and that ideally they would have also made it so that you couldn't have left the city and died until you got to this point. Your custom is always appreciated. May you meow, you look a little unusual. You're a traveler, I presume. Then I encourage you to take a nap at each of our inns whenever your travels may take you. We are very proud of our deep and comfortable beds, and we hope you enjoy them as much as we do. This is a great example of just too many lines of dialogue put probably in a pretty bad place, because unless going forward, whenever we go into one of these inns, they say, "Would you like a room?" You say yes, and that's that. And it's just a three-button press, quick in and out. This is going to take up some extra time. Thank you very much. Look at your wizard's companion. There's something different about him. That there's useful. The memories of all the travelers who have stayed here have filled it back up a bit. Gee, I never expected that. Why the heck not, Mun? It's a flipping mining spell book, ain't it? We best stay as many of these places as we can. So, the Wizard's Companion book now just magically filled, and we're not getting any kind of animation to that. It's just text. I guess so, huh? So we just obtained a new page out of nowhere. So you pretty much want to stay at an inn whenever you see an inn, at least once. Wouldn't be surprised if we don't need it very often, though. And we stay once just out of obligation.
Is this a dream? You must listen
Here
to
we're
me now,
back to
Oliver.
Oliver being younger
You have to
looking.
go to him, to face him. And when you do, you'll learn the truth.
Hmm.
Promise me no matter how hard it is. Him? Mom, who's him? Mom, what do you mean? He's someone very important to both of us.
It's interesting that it does this
And where do I have to go?
in the 3D
It's
instead of the
alright,
flat
sweetie.
2D
You're
animation.
already on your way. Don't give up, Oliver. No matter how hard it gets.
They say Oliver's name far too often
Mom!
for you to really have changed it.
Mom!
Good morning, young man, and what a perfectly fine morning it is, too. You slept well, I hope? Excellent. You'll be on your way now, I expect. Well, you happen if you happen across another cat's cradle on your travels, be sure to stay with us again. Ta. Mrs. See you soon. Like, it would be helpful, and you see this in other visual novels, if Drippy, when he was going to talk, if his name was to the right, or if they just wanted to do full zoom ins of images of the face of the person talking at that time. Like, it's really easy with this text dialogue, particularly if kids are reading this, to not be used to having to look at the person's name every time there's a new sentence. Yeah, and see how it's just jumping back and forth in a conversation. Oliver says mom, ... We can save our progress, even though nothing's really happened since the last save. With that dream, I think it kind of fairly points to the idea that the big guy, the dark Jinn, the bad guy, the other sorcerer who was corrupted in this world, may very well be your father. Since we haven't had Ward 1 talked about Oliver's father. So it kind of would make some sense that the father left, went to this other world, got corrupted, turned into a bad guy, went mad with power, effectively. Let's get our new outfit so people quit making that be a requirement. Hoo-hoo, there you are, dearie. You'll be happy to hear your clothes are ready. Tidy, best try them on, eh, Ollie boy? Sure. I'll just pop and get them for you, dear. Wait, there. I shan't be a moment. Yes, ma'am, thank you very much.
What do you think?
Huh? Oh, that's trendy. You look proper sharp, Ollie boy.
Isn't it a little goofy? I mean, a cape? Don't be silly, dear. It hoots you down to the ground. Thank you very much, man. How much do we owe you? Oh, for those old things, don't be silly, dear. You'll be doing me a huge favor just taking them off my hands. Really? You sure? Hoo-hoo. I can't remember the last time I did any sewing. It was an absolute hoot. Think nothing of it. All I ask is that you pop by and buy a little something from time to time. You'll do that for me, won't you, dear? Of course we will. Thanks, missus. There's lucky old boy. Looks like we owe this place another visit or 3. We sure do. So we now have the traveler's clothes, which I again assume that this is your father's outfit. And now you've got some super dapper duds. We can head up to the palace, tidy. Time to meet the king, huh? I'm kind of nervous. It would have made more sense, though, to have the clothes just delivered to the hotel and the hotel visit be free. Also, first visit's free. Could have easily done that. Can we shop with this? Let's see, what else can we buy? We can buy some items, which we don't know how expensive those would be. We could buy some treats, and we could try and increase our character prematurely. Or we could try to buy ingredients and cook something, but I'm not sure what the ingredients are all about. Probably is a little premature to buy anything. What I was expecting for her to sell, though, would have been a item, armor, and accessories. Okay. So it wants me to go see the king. But we also had side quests. And like this lady has a side quest for us. Goodness me. Wherever those little rascals run off now. Is something the matter, man? It's my boys. The three of them are forever running off and not coming back. I know they're just playing, but I can't help thinking they'll hurt themselves. I worry about them a lot. You worry about them a lot, huh? Yeah. In kids' fantasy stories like this, you see a kid who is frankly too young to be going on an adventure on their own at the beginning, and very quickly they all of a sudden become the person in charge, or the more mature character that is then asked to do things, and even sometimes admonish younger kids for doing the same things he probably would have done himself. Yes, I do, and today they're even later than ever. I'm beside myself. Mother's life is never easy, no matter where you go, eh? You don't have a spare moment, do you? Could you go and find my boys for them? Okay, this seems like this is probably going to just keep us inside the castle. If this takes us out into the overworld, I'm sorry to put you through such trouble, that would be a little weird. If it takes us to the overworld. But if you could let me know when you found them, I'd be ever so grateful. Okay. So then I guess the question comes down to, we can't go into other places. Can we start other quests at the same time? Is this girl still peeing? Yep. It's peeing all day, apparently. All night. Because remember, it's the next day. I imagine these dialogue things won't change much. The first thing you get... Let's see if this is a boy. King Tom used to come and play with me and my friends all the time, but he hasn't come out of his castle for ages now. It's really boring without him. Interesting. It does look like I might be able to do multiple side quests, so we should probably just agree to as many side quests as possible. There we had a little bit of lagginess when I tried to turn and walk at the same time. That may not be anything. Wow, it hurts. Oh look, poor Dalb's gone and hurt himself. Must be one of the Lay's Lust boys. We better patch him up, eh? Jeepers, that looks painful. What can we do? Mr. Drippy, we don't have a first aid kit. Crikey, Ollie boy, brain like a flipping sieve you've got. You're a wizard. Use some flipping magic. Oh, I'm sure. What do I do? Which spell do I use, Mr. Drippy? For crying out loud, man. I'm only telling you this once, right? Healing touch, man. Got it? Healing flipping touch. You said it twice. Ow, it hurts. Okay, here goes. I'm gonna fix you up. Alright, so that's 3 magic points. It doesn't hurt anymore. Hooray, I'm all better. Listen, Sunshine, your poor mother's worried sick about you. Get on home with you. I will, I promise. Thanks for making me better. We talk here again. You're a wizard, that's amazing. So they're inside shops. Or inside the city. Commiserations, friend, but I'm not allowed to sell weapons or armor to travelers. You're gonna need to get special permission from the king. So you literally can't do much of anything out of order. Alright. Looks like there's another one here, another quest. Yeah, I'm still not quite pretty enough. Doing a bit of decorating, is it? Well, I can I always say you can't beat a flower or two, brighten things up to no end, they do. How clever of you. I was just thinking about using some flowers and trying to make my doorway prettier, you see? You are, what kind of flowers are you thinking of using? Meow, now. I want something nice and bright. It'll need some fresh air, clean water to give them to. Meow. I know you can help me. Can you spare the time, pretty please? Alright. So if we do this, seems like we can do 2 quests at the same time, at least. We probably could do as many quests as we can get at the same time, which is beneficial, because certainly if you made an RPG game where the side quests, you could only have one active side quest at a time and only do that at a time, it would do one at a time, it would make RPG games, which already are pretty long, even longer. So we need 2 plains, wart flowers, and 2 bottles of spring water. Yes, ma'am. Oh, but where can I find them? Neither can be purchased from the shops. You'll have to go and look for them among the rolling hills. Yeah, don't worry. They positively twinkle. I dare say you've seen twinkling spots on the ground outside, haven't you? Well, be sure to investigate them when you stumble upon one, and you'll find all manner of precious items. Precious things. Yeah, and one more thing. Once you forage for a particular spot, it won't twinkle as it did before, but never fear. Both its produce and its twinkle will return in time. Got it. Thank you, ma'am. We'll head out of town and keep our eyes peeled for some of those twinkles. Tiny, let's go foraging, shall we? So in fights, you'll have twinkles that will give you health and magic power. Outside of fights in the overworld, you have twinkles that'll give you resources. And we now know what the twinkles mean. Thanks very much, you're a perfect little gentleman. I wonder if I'm ever going to be able to actually use the breads, or if I'm going to end up just... Let's talk to this girl. Shop that looks like an owl is called the Boutique. I wonder why they chose that name. So they are going to reuse models of characters inside the game, which that's understandable. Is this one with quest? Meow. Which pot did I put it in again? Is everything okay? Meow. It's my precious treasure, you see. I can't remember which pot I hid it in. Gee, that's tough. What sort of treasure is it? It's my grandmother's red earring. It has such a pretty color. You couldn't lend me a paw and help me look for it, could you? Yes, sure we can. You will? Perfect. It's one of those pots you see around town. Inside one of the pots, leave it to me. You're a perfect gentleman. Alright. So. We're looking for pots. What? I can barely hear what she's saying. It almost feels like she's saying something, a full sentence. But I just don't know. Yeah, I'm noticing that if you go one way down a lot of these paths, you will intentionally be designed in such a way that you won't be able to see very potent magic as seals, the purple ones. You won't see some collectibles, but then when you turn around and look the other way, you will find those collectibles. So I'm going to have to pretty much go down every single path in both directions. Wow, I fell over and hurt my arm, it hurts. Hey, don't cry, I'll fix you up. I guess if we need more magic power, we would have to sleep in the place again, the inn. It's not hurting. It's not hurting anymore. There's a tidy, eh? That's magic for you. Magic? Really? Wow. Amazing. That's right, your mommy was worried about you. Yeah, so she sent a wizard to tell you to go home right now. Yes, Mr. Wizard, I will. Thank you. They're basically the exact same height and probably same age. Drippy as a character oddly feels like he's cussing a lot. Using flipping. And just as a companion character, it would probably be nice if we fairly quickly eliminated him. We won't need him to hold our hand for much longer, and the Telling Stone can certainly replace him as a place where reminders might appear. Interesting that there's only one of those jars is collectible. And then down here we see a treasure chest, but I think I'm gonna have to have the ability to jump to reach that, or I'm gonna need an ability to break things. Somewhere around here is one more pot and one more boy. So let's go and investigate this way. Turn around and make sure there's not a pot behind us. I suspect at some point we may be able to get to higher points in like alcoves like that. And this feels like this is probably a dungeon that we're going to be required to go into. Alright. We might even hit a point where some of these other buildings open up, and the whole city might actually be full of places to investigate. Let's jump in. There's a slight load here coming in and out of these buildings. It does feel wonkier when you're in a building. I think that's probably because the virtual camera here is actually bumping into the walls, and you notice how it hits something and then it just kind of jerks forward. Whereas there's probably a better way to program virtual cameras to not interact with walls and instead just make the walls disappear themselves. It could be also that the inside buildings are just programmed in a oddly worse way. Because out in the city, it's a bit smoother. Yeah, unless I get a better jump, I'm probably not going anywhere further there. Tin guilders. I guess that is the currency. Is guilders. Alright, well, I'll double check that there isn't a boy in here. I doubt that there's going to be new quests. Yep. All 3 quests are underway. So while you can start the quests, it doesn't seem like you can actually finish the quests. So this way we go for the next cutscene. Oh, it's a whole nother area. I was really expecting a bit more of a cutscene. Just to walk in here and start with that. It's a nice looking little area. What's funny is you hear a lot of like hammering behind the doors, which that'd be interesting if that turned out to be an indication of something, that there's like a bunch of heartbroken people behind the doors that are hammering away, building some kind of monsters or some kind of weapons for the bad guy. Or that there's just a major construction thing, projects happening in the city. So we now have the red earring. Almost certainly this is going to open at some point. Seems like you could just walk past these guards, but maybe they'll stop you. Guards may stop me going in here also. Suppose there is a question about whether these reset after amount of time, or whether the treasure chests are permanent. I would kind of lean towards the treasure chests being permanent. That would be my guess. Yeah, nothing stops you from just walking in. Well, I fell over and grazed my knee. Ow, ow. Hey now, don't cry. Let me fix you up. It's not hurting anymore. That's right. All better. That's marvelous. I'm always worried sick about you. Run along now. There's a good land. Oh, well, I promise. Thank you so much. So that should be all of them. Although, these people probably don't disappear until you walk away from them. Let's see. If I turn around and look, he's still standing there. I almost want to take the having to use the healing touch magic on characters for this quest as a promise that we won't have to do that kind of side quest ever again, or at least for a long time. It'd be alright if 5, 10, 15 hours from now we have to do it one more time, but if we go to every single city and there's always a side quest where we have to heal a bunch of people for some reason, that's going to be a little redundant. May not be able to do anything yet. And this looks like this is a new quest. Side quest. ... What's up with you, Mun? You look a bit pale, you do. ... Huh? You're giving this to me? So, receive a page describing the spirit medium spell. Well, fancy that. There's a page from the Wizard's Compendium, that is. What's this little squirt doing with it? ... I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Do you think he can't speak? No, that's not it, man. If I'm not very much mistaken, yep, must be. Did you figure something out, Mr. Drippy? Spell he just gave you, give it a try, Ollie boy. You'll soon see. Well, alright then. So we come now down to Spirit Medium. Allows the caster to speak to spirits of the departed, both good and evil. Thank goodness it worked. Jeepers creepers, you can talk. Of course I can talk, silly. You cast Spirit Medium on me, didn't you? So you have to cast it on the spirits, not on yourself every time. That seems kind of silly. It'd make more sense just cast it on yourself and then always be able to talk to ghosts. So that's what it does, huh? You mean to tell me you cast a spell without knowing what it did? What kind of wizard are you? For future reference, Spirit Medium lets you speak to the spooky spirits of the dead, like me. So I was right. You're a flipping ghost, ain't it? A ghost? Jeepers. You mean to tell me that ghosts really exist? Of course they do. Wizards see them all the time. I was a wizard too once, you know. But thanks to that idiot, the Dark Djinn, there aren't too many wizards left. Are all wizards kids brought from another world, or just kids in general? Or do wizards look like kids but are actually hundreds of years old? The one of the Merlin myths is that he aged backwards, so as he got older he looked younger, or he aged backwards in time, so his memories were backwards, and as time went forward he looked younger and he forgot things, or remembered things, I guess, as he got older. So when I saw you, I thought I'd better hand this page over. You're the first wizard I've seen in I don't know how long. Jeepers, can it really keep it? Of course, it's the least I can do to say thanks for looking after my book. Your book? Now you got your wires crossed, Sunshine. That's our book, that is. Who are you anyways? Me, I'm Horace. Although you probably know me better as the Sage of Ages. Hang a sec. You want us to believe this little midget like you was the Sage of the flipping ages? Who are you calling a midget, Pipsqueak? Again, this is supposed to be a kid's game, and from a Japanese sentimentality, this kind of insulting and playful banter is fine. But in Western, like, if I had a 10-year-old that was trying to play this game, I don't know if I'd really want to encourage this kind of name calling. And I wouldn't want to encourage a 10-year-old to say flipping all the time. It's kind of silly to pick up a habit of using replacement cuss words before you've even learned what cuss words are. I'm a fairy, ain't it? I'm supposed to be this size, cheeky little. You're called Ollie, aren't you? It's weird that they go from Oliver to Ollie so much. They probably should have stuck just Ollie, or and mentioned his real name is Oliver through at the very beginning, or they should have stuck with Oliver the whole time. And you're on a journey in our world? Yeah. Maybe I'll go on a little journey myself. I haven't taken a look around our world for a long time. Right. I'm heading south to the desert. Hopefully we'll meet again at the town down there. See you soon. Nobody seems to really disappear when you're around. Like, and I'm sure that saves on the programming quite a bit to not have characters that are important walking around. I definitely have seen in RPG games where you have important characters that are scripted to go in little circles or even fairly large circles around the city. But then that creates the problem of potentially having to wander around the city for an extra 5 minutes to find that important character. So they've made a nice clear division by saying if somebody potentially is going to be important, they're going to stand still in a place. If they're an extra person that could easily be removed from the game if you ran out of RAM or needed to put in bigger textures or bigger elements, those walking characters can go away. Let's move the main story forward. It's funny, it's only been about 34 minutes and it still feels like it's been closer to an hour in gameplay. Sorry, I had to drink some water there. All the reading really can do that to me. I'm just not I just have a whole lifetime of playing video games more like an ADHD child than I am than I have experience reading long visual novels or JRPGs or books in general. I actually do read a lot, but it's almost always on the internet in some form factor, so it's more interactive and I can move at a faster pace. Um, so apologies, but everyone in the palace is busy trying to find the king's red herring. A red herring is a movie maker's reference for some item that people are suspecting of something happening, of being a plot line, and it doesn't happen really. So, like, if we could use a pup named Scooby-Doo as a reference, there's a bad guy named Red Herring, and Fred of the Scooby-Doo gang always accuses Red Herring of being the bad guy, and except for a couple episodes, it's never the case that he is actually the bad guy. There is a slight difference between a MacGuffin, which was a different movie maker term, and a red herring, because a MacGuffin is the item people are chasing after. Like right now, we are chasing after a wand as a MacGuffin. The red herring would be if somebody said a wand was actually outside of the forest and we needed to go back into the overworld. Now, I don't know if you're not supposed to realize that the king is a cat when you have a whole statue of a cat here, which would point out, like, why a king might be more interested in a red fish, or a red herring. Welcome to Ding Dong Dell. This is the road that leads to the royal palace. You are travelers. I take it you must be in those clothes. Yes, we've come to see the king. Yes. Are you after an audience with King Tom, are you? Well, I'd be more happy to let you through, but I'm afraid that's just not possible at the moment. Huh? But why? One of the king's hapless aides has allowed his Meowsties' beloved pet fish to escape into the palace moat. The red herring is the king's pride and joy, and a highly endangered species to boot. Oh, so it's a pet fish. I figured he was trying to eat him. I doubt his Meowsties will be able to replace this one if we were to lose it. With that aid of what that aide was thinking, I don't know. Anyways, to cut a long story short, everyone in the castle is busy looking for the king's red herring at the moment. I advise you to come back another day. Alright. What are we gonna do, Mr. Drippy? Palace moat, is it? If I'm not mistaken, that moat's connected to some of the rivers that run through the town. You think it could have swum all the way to town? I reckon it's possible, yeah. Why don't we have a look in a few ponds that, just in case, can't do any harm, can it? It sure can't. Gee, I hope we find that red herring, Mr. Drippy. Me too, Ollie boy. Right then, let's go fishing. And we don't have like a net or anything to catch the fish safely. We don't even have a fishing rod to catch the fish unsafely. And I suspect what's going to happen here is that the red herring is going to be giant. Meow, you got it. You got my earring. Oh, that's perfect. Just perfect. You found it for me. We sure did. Don't lose it again now, okay? I promise. I'll never lose it again. Oh, here's a present for you. Thank you so much. And again, the audio cuts out very roughly there. That's happened the 2 times that's happened. I've noticed it. To play a little jingle. So we have a leafy mantle and 50 guilders. And that automatically gives you the stamps. What's interesting here is that they're putting a different kind of stamp versus the crown stamps at the bottom, which I guess you get the crown stamps when you turn in the cards. It would be nice if people in the real world lived in such a safe kind of environment where you could have a system like this. I could imagine potentially making a cell phone app where you would have little kids do errands and getting rewards for doing errands, and just trying to teach kids to be helpful. But whether real or imagined, the risk of kidnapping or abuse or just having kids interact with adults they shouldn't be interacting with is so high that you could never really create a system like this. Uh, Even the old Boy Scout helping old ladies across the street is not really feasible. Because A, not that many old ladies are going across the streets, and B, Boy Scouts shouldn't just be wandering around trying to help old ladies off the street. In a funny way, there are systems not unlike this, where you have like DoorDash and Grubhub and things, where you deliver food or groceries and you get actual money for it, but you have to have a car and you have to be able to afford to maintain that car to do those kinds of things. You're not getting just mostly worthless stamps. We'll just try and jump through some of this dialogue without having to read it. We can't finish the other quest until we leave. This is another example, though, of two screens that really should have been merged into one. Like, you don't need to press A 2 times to go through from one screen to another screen to see the merit badges. Now I need to go back in here first and see if this possibly will get me any rewards. I think the answer is probably no. Let's see. We'll go ahead and take this bounty hunt. And we're just sitting on a bunch of money. Yep. We'll have to finish out a full cars before we can even start to think about what we want to get. Interesting, it says jumping jack allows you to jump by pressing B while running. It's not even that useful. Whereas running around in the overworld may be very useful. Or getting more forging rewards may be very useful. I don't suspect that there will be a system where if we get a bunch of forging rewards, though, that we would then be able to sell that to get merit badges. See if there's anything new here. Yes, there is not. So even if I do all the side quests, I still won't have enough resources. Alright. Look, Ollie boy, see that red thing over there? No, I don't. What red thing? Is it that dark single fish? Or is it that shadow of a fish? Or is it that shadow of a fish? I reckon I found our fishy friend. You better go and take a closer look, though, just to make sure. And me, why do I have to go over there? Well, who else is gonna do it? Freddy the Fish Inspector? There's an old game called Freddy the Fish. That would be an odd reference to make, certainly. Come on, just hop on those rickety looking bits of wood. You'll be fine. Aw, gee. Alright, I guess I'll try. We were fine before, so it'd be funny if it all of a sudden broke. Ah. And see, the camera's a little awkward here. Ah. Knickers, he got away. Knickers is underwear in British slang, by the way. Sorry. He's a lively one, alright. I think he went off towards the palace. Ollie boy after him. So are we swimming? Yeah, I don't know why the guy is jumping around when it looks like I'm gonna have to run back. Personally, I think jumping is way more useful than they're making it out to be. But running would save us more time, certainly. Particularly if we get the ability to run inside of these kinds of areas faster. The boy is now gone. So I prematurely came to this area when it was going to make me come this way anyways. You just pick him up. So this is the king's favorite fish, huh? Tidy, that's a red herring if I ever saw one. Now we can get ourselves an audience with the king. Let's head back and see the palace guard, shall we? In this magical world, do fish not die outside the water? Like, I don't think it's particularly good for fish to be outside the water even for a brief moment, let alone a few seconds. A few minutes. Here again, I'm afraid we still haven't located Tom's pet. This one, you mean? We came to deliver the king's fish back to him, sir. Is that goodness? I'd know that regal scarlet tones of the king's beloved red herring anyway. Well, I'll be. I reckon he must have swum out through the sewers into town, like... Is that so? I must let the other guards know right away. If I remember rightly, you were... That's right, we need to see the king. Yes, of course, but with him in his current state... What's that? Something's up, is there? You could say that. Did I mention that the person charged with carrying the king's red herring just let it escape? Everyone in the palace has gotten terribly lax of late. So lax we need to enlist the help of passing travelers, as you know only too well. I probably shouldn't be telling you this, but the king himself has been indolence personified, and it seems to be rubbing off on his subjects. Indolence? Is that like laziness? I'm afraid so. Well, perhaps being reunited with his beloved red herring will give him the boost he needs. I don't mind that this game has big words in it, but we have seen 2 or 3 big words already in this game that they didn't bother to really define. At least in this instance, Oliver actually asks, like, does that mean laziness? Of course, it would have probably been better writing for Oliver to say, does that mean like obesity or being overweight or something, and then being corrected. The idea that Oliver would know what indolence meant and just not be 100% certain is kind of weird. In you go. Tidy, we'll have to see the king. Come on, Ollie boy. And see, that was like 12 lines of dialogue, unvoiced, in 3D. Now we're back to flat 2D animations.
That's right.
Yes, Your Majesty.
And you wish for a prize?
Go on, man. Ask him.
Come now, don't be shy.
Well, Your Majesty.
So is this guy broken-hearted?
No!
We need your wand.
One's wand. Huh? What did you say?
Crikey!
That smell.
He's a tomcat.
That's right, Your Majesty. He's not from our world. He's the one whose power freed me from my prison.
What? You mean he broke his spell? This little boy?
Yes.
Do you understand what you're saying, Fairy?
have to see
Once you defy him, there's no turning back.
I know, but...
But what precisely?
Well, you know, he might be able to...
It's not one's concern. You may not have the wand. Now be gone.
Does that mean no wand, Mr. Droopy?
Looks like it.
Kind of a pointless cutscene there, really.
So how do we get the wand now?
Something wasn't quite right about our royal friend. Broken-hearted he is, or I'm broken-headed.
The king is?
Lacking enthusiasm, it looked like. And because he's broken-hearted, the whole kingdom's being dragged down with him.
What are we waiting for? Let's go find the piece of heart he's missing.
Blimey, you don't need much encouragement, do you?
It's just really weird to jump between the different animations. And I definitely could see how if they had paid Ghibli to animate these cutscenes, like, say, 4 to 6 years earlier, you couldn't really throw that away. You'd have to use it in some factor. But I don't know. I mean, it really is a day one mistake. They shouldn't have contracted Ghibli to animate cutscenes for a video game unless they were going to have them do the intros and the outros of the game, and that's it. And that's typically what you see even in anime TV series, is that you'll have fairly high quality, more expensive animators do the intros to a TV series, or the outros or the credits play to a TV series, and then you'll have slightly cheaper but not so off model. That's really the phrase that I should be using here, is that the 2D is completely off model from the 3D, and like it or not, this game is 3D for the majority of it. But yeah, slightly better, cheaper animators, slightly worse, cheaper animators to animate the whole game would have been the way to go, with just the intros and the outros being 2D. And as far as I can recall, I don't think Studio Ghibli has ever been able to do anything with 3D, which is in part probably an argument as to why it will probably fail and die in the next couple of decades. That and the fact that it really just cannot succeed without the actual director Ghibli in charge. He keeps trying to put his son in charge of it, and his son is just not who people want to know is in charge of making movies. And so they've stopped the dialogue now. The guard outside the town was short of enthusiasm too. Indeed he was, Ollie boy. Like I say, I reckon the king's brokenheartedness is dragging everyone else down with him. But the other guard gave up some of his enthusiasm to help his friend. There's an interesting question here. Why do you not just have enthusiasm inside of Oliver or Drippy? Like, wouldn't it make a lot of sense that you could just give up a part of your own heart to solve any of these problems? And that probably will be the case at the very end of the game, is that you'll have to give up all 8 parts of extra brokenheartedness that you have built up through this whole journey to put into the Dark Djinn and cure his own self-brokenheartedness. That would be how I assume you would beat the final boss. You should go asking for more. No, no, no. Don't do that. There's a very important rule about borrowing pieces of people's hearts. There is, what is it? Well, you can't go taking the same piece of part from the same person twice, see? One little scoop off the top is all that's safe to borrow. Gee, I didn't know that. I'll be sure to be real careful from now on. So what do we do, Mr. Drippy? We troll the town for someone else with get up and go aplenty, ain't it? It's a sleepy old place, but there's bound to be someone somewhere. Only problem is, where? Ding Dong Dale's not exactly village size after all. You might even say it's proper massive. I guess it kinda is, huh? In something of a quandary, are we? Says the telling stone. Flipping heck. What's interesting is I didn't hit a button there to go forward. Hi, Mr. Telling Stone. You seemed perplexed, my young friends. I thought you might benefit from a dose of my expansive knowledge. Thanks, that's real nice of you. You see, we need to borrow a piece of somebody's heart, but we don't know how to find one. Elementary, my dear Oliver. In times like this, just look at your locket. How do you mean? Alright, well, I'm going to have to pause this recording, and this is probably going to happen a lot, and take a little bit of a bathroom break, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Yep. So, yeah, almost certainly I will end up having to take more breaks in between these conversations, because these conversations are getting longer, not shorter. Fingers crossed, we will hit a point, and we may still just quite be in that first act of being tutorialized to, and we may have a big chunk of several hours in which we can just run around and we're not having to talk that often to people, because this is getting exhaustive, particularly for a kids game. Let's see. Well, not only can the locket carry pieces of heart, the locket is extremely sensitive to their proximity. It will glow when they are nearby. Now, there's no way you could see the locket while running around in the game, so there must be some on-screen heads-up display that pops up. Tidy. So we can use it to track down the enthusiasm then. Some enthusiasm then, ain't it? Allow me to tell you a little more about that locket of yours. The fact that Drippy uses the phrase tidy all the time is probably a localization mistake. Because the Japanese language at a certain level doesn't have as many words as the English language does, there's definitely an argument that the localization team should have taken tidy and then said, half the time, let's not use the phrase tidy, let's use sounds great, good, excellent. Let's cycle through 5 different phrases that all mean I like what I just heard. Where in Japanese, it might be that he is saying something like yata or nanda. Some phrase that basically means I like what I heard or great. But in Japanese, there aren't that many phrases. But also, I wouldn't be surprised if in the Japanese version he is just saying the same phrase over and over again to characterize the person as being somebody that just repeats the same phrases over and over again. Which, that does not play particularly as well when localized to English. Okay. You'll see that it has a habit of glowing brightly from time to time. This is how it reacts in the presence of those who possess one of the heart's virtues in abundance. It looks like what's going to be is that we'll just see green dots, and we'll want to go towards those green dots. Incidentally, those with pieces of heart to spare will also glow in a verdant green on the mini-map in the top right of your screen. Neato. It will not serve to tell you which of the virtues the subject has in excess, but it should prove exceedingly useful to you nonetheless. I just know it will. Now sally forth and seek your peace of heart, young adventurer. Thank you so much, Mr. Tellingstowe. Again, him bowing. If you ever find yourself in need of knowledge again, you may consider me wholly at your service. Farewell now, my friends. Yeah, this whole time, though, I've kind of forgotten about the whole familiars and the whole fighting mechanic. It's just been so long. Righto, Ollie boy, let's look around for someone who has a drop of enthusiasm to spare, shall we? If your locket glows up all of a sudden, we'll know we're on the right track. Got it. Let's go, Mr. Drippy. Alright. So off we go. And I assume I don't have to talk to these people. And yeah, it would be fairly difficult to play the game and try and control the camera this way so that you would always walk looking at in the opposite direction. We probably do have enough gold to waste a bunch on treats and just try and power up our familiar. There is, I suppose, a question to be asked about. I'm not seeing anybody with any extra enthusiasm. Nor am I seeing any characters that act like they would have extra enthusiasm. Seems like I'm just gonna have to go through a dungeon. Alright, well, then let's go here and let's buy some stuff. Sure. I'm wondering if the familiar's heaviness might play some role. Let's see. Attack, defense, magical attack, magical defense, attack, accuracy, evasion. Alright. So, yeah, I'm wondering if he would evolve into something different if we messed up there. I'm gonna buy 11 of these and just see what happens. I haven't saved in a while, so now might be kind of a good point to also save before we do this. Alright. Yeah. I'm wondering if his fullness might mean you just can't fill him anymore, or if it means that you literally are going to evolve him to one type of character versus another. There's, looking at these numbers, if accuracy is a percentage point, we could try and get that up to 100%. Otherwise, accuracy might just be an arbitrary level. It doesn't feel like hitting for a couple more damages is really going to make him much better, particularly in boss fights. Our familiarity is leveling up. Now, I wonder if the fullness does not go away until we've fought with him more. So he's now full up. So we may have to just wait till he levels up. I can't give him any of these other foods either. Alright. Well, that didn't seem like that was an incredibly big mistake. Let's see. Let's go ahead and see this leafy mantle cloak. Seemingly I can't use it. Why can I not equip it? Because I don't think either one of our characters actually can wear a cloak. We still can't use these tickets. Our regular clothes we can never switch back to. We now have our traveler's clothes. It probably makes a lot of sense to go ahead and just swap that around, but it may not matter either. Like, yeah, okay, let's see. If we go to friends and familiars, equipment. Yeah, we have 2 accessories there. And yeah, he can have a sword and a shield, but he can't have a cloak. So we have nothing that can actually wear the cloak. Okay, good to know. Still don't know what this is. So yeah, I imagine our familiar will do us fine for regular battles, but when it comes to actually needing to cast a spell, I'm going to have to work within a fairly different system to get Oliver's health and attack and defense higher. Look, Mr. Drippy, the locket is glowing. Tidy. And then there's someone around here with a piece of heart to spare, ain't it? Again. Yeah, he stands out of place. The only person around here is him, and look at him. Man, I can barely stand still. He's so eager. Jackpot. You mean you think he has some enthusiasm to spare? I do, my lad. I bet my lantern on it. Let's go and get it, shall we? Now what would be interesting is if it turns out that he doesn't have enthusiasm, he has some other kind of piece of heart, and we put it in the king by accident, and then something goes awry because of that. How do, Saucepan Head? I don't suppose you fancy doing us a favor, do you? Hey, stop distracting me, I'm busy. Busy? What are you busy doing exactly? Protecting the town from the mice, of course. Mice? Oh yeah, I remember hearing about the mice who lived in Ding Dong Dell. Those mice are a menace. They're always running around, getting up to no good. So, are the mice regular mice, or are they anthropomorphic mice? Sorry, I hit my microphone there. Well, we'll find out, I imagine. But the grown-ups are too lazy to do anything about it, and most of them hardly notice when mice steal things, and the ones that do don't seem to care. Well, Tommy Stout is not going to stand for it. I know the mice all live down in the well, so I'm standing guard here. Any mouse that comes this way is in for a battering. Well, we're right about this one. He's bursting with enthusiasm. Over to you, Ollie boy. What are you talking about? Well, King Tom still seems to be really short on enthusiasm right now. And that's where you come in, Tommy boy. You've got loads of stuff. If we gave some of it to the King Tom, the whole town would sort itself out quite sharp. Yeah, so we're wondering if you could share some of your enthusiasm with us. Of course, I'll do anything to help the king. Thanks, Tommy. Okay. So you take heart. Seems kind of silly that they're going to let you cast spells outside of dialogue if every time you actually need to do it you have to talk to the people and ask for permission in the first place. Wow, that was strange. Well, now I know what magic feels like. Strange, what do you mean? Non-wizarding types ain't used to spells, see, Ollie boy? They don't know what to make of them half the time. So does that mean King Tom's really gonna be alright now, Oliver? Yes. And once the king's back to normal, everyone else should start feeling better too. That's right, man. Your enthusiasm is going to put a spring in everyone's step, ain't it? That's great to hear. Until then, though, I better stay here and keep an eye out for mice. Alright, see you later, Tommy. Imagine we will have to go fight mice in the well at some point, but apparently not now. I can't help but feel like the cat-themed RPG game that was more of an abridged RPG game that I played recently has been somewhat inspired by the events of this game. Considering there's a cat king in the city and there are cat people too. And there was a like darkness kind of brokenheartedness on the king in the other game. I wish I could remember the name of that game. It was some cat pun and that's why I can't remember it. Do you think we have to talk to these guys or can we just walk past them? We just walk past them. This really goes to show though, now that this will be 3D, that it's fairly pointless to have had a 2D animation. Interesting, you can't go up the steps. Yeah, they really doubled the work for themselves. Meow, you again. One is becoming rather tired of these constant interruptions. Sorry, Your Majesty, we just have something for you. Yeah, we picked it out especially for you, Catface. It'll get rid of that tiredness of yours in no time. Give you a new lease on life. It will. Strong teeth, glossy fur. I'm not sure that's... Yeah, that sounds just the ticket. This accursed fatigue will be the death of one. Dealing with all these visitors has taken its toll. Not to worry, Meow, just see? A little bit of enthusiasm is all you need, ain't it? Now, again, the camera's pointing in a kind of bad direction there. It may very well have been better just to have walked into this area, jumped to this animation.
So, do you think it worked?
Let's see, shall we?
What the devil was one up to?
Your Majesty, please tell us you're back to your old self.
Eh? Why, one is 10 times more energetic than one has ever been. But one feels different somehow.
This is your doing, is it not? Then you must be rewarded. Your Majesty, it seems that these brave adventurers have lifted the curse that was placed upon you.
What? Is this true?
Yes, Your Majesty. It appears
I really
that
wish
you were
more
cursed
of the dialogue would be voiced so I could just sit here and
Is
listen
that
to it.
so?
Of course, I'm supposed to be acting as video game critic and actually criticizing what's being said.
In your debt.
But then you only get so much and then you're back to the regular non-voice dialogue. What would you claim as your prize, Tidy, you know what to ask for, ain't it, old boy? Sure, we need a magic wand, Your Majesty. Meow, is that so? Strangely, one feels as if one has had this conversation before. Now one thinks of it, there is a wand, one prized very highly, as again hidden away safely in one's bedchamber. There is and one will be willing to part with it, but one will have to find it first. Return later, and one shall present it to you. Jeepers, thank you so much, Your Majesty. So boy, if you are in search for a wand, one can take it that you are perhaps a wizard. Indeed, he is, Your Majesty, a shiny new apprentice wizard who doesn't exactly know much magic yet. Is that so? Then let me provide you with a spell or two. One's wand will be of little use without spells to cast, after all. Well, Your Majesty, that's so kind of you. Thank you very much. So we've now unlocked Spring Lock, which probably unlocks some level of treasure chests. And Rejuvenate, which probably brings things back from being decrepit. Meow. Must enjoy these spells that inspire so much one's younger days. one that unlocks things and one that restores things to their former glory. What did you use to get up with these, your majesty? None of your business, fairy. Now, boy, you travel with a familiar, do you not? One has sent word to the quartermaster's store down in the town that you've been given permission to shop there. The quartermaster's store? What kind of place is that, your majesty? Are you sure you're an adventurer? One cannot help but fear for the safety of such an innocence. No matter, the quartermaster's store provides weapons and equipment for the use of familiars. Why not go and browse your products on offer while one seeks out a wand? We sure will, your majesty. Thank you very much. Now one has plenty to attend to. Come and present yourselves once again in a short while. So go away, go do some shopping, come back. This is a prime example of a video game and an RPG wasting your time, making you wander around. Even being able to walk around in the castle is a waste of time. You could have literally just had the king sitting on the throne here. Or the king just standing there. Instead of having to animate that 3D environment. Not that there's too much to that 3D environment anyways. But I can't move any faster. Let's see. We can consider a couple things though. Let's see. Do we have the ability now to... All his current wallet is not powerful enough to open the purple chests. Good to know. So yeah, running faster, even if it's only in the overworld, is going to be a priority. Because this game is going to make us wander around way more than it should. Let's see. That was a regular chest that was opened up here. Ah, it's you. His Majesty has informed me that you would be coming, instructed me to sell you whatever you require. I'm more happy to cooperate. So have a look around. I'm sure you'll find something here with which to equip your familiars. I'm skipping over the silly pun words. Equip my familiars. How do you mean, sir? It seems an explanation is in order. Very well. Here goes nothing. To ensure the familiars don't get caught short, you can give them a boost by equipping them with certain items. If I don't want to go crow, but you'll find plenty of items your familiars can equip amongst my items for sale. There are 3 types. I'm generally just trying to speed read this, and like all speed reading, you don't actually get all the words, you just get the general gist of the sentences. And often speed reading causes you to forget what you just read. Just remember that items that familiar can equip vary according to its genus. It's not complicated, so don't get into a flap. The best way to learn is just trying equipping your familiars. But don't feel left out, will you? Humans can, of course, equip items too. Select friends and familiars and press A to change the items you have equipped. Garland will not buy a nice matching set of items for you and your familiars. Birds of a feather stick together, after all. Gee, okay. As soon as I have some money, I'll start buying some accessories and stuff. Sounds like this old board has done a proper sales number on you, Ollie boy. Just remember that accessories ain't the only things you can equip. Wizards can use all sorts of wands as well. Flipping heck. Speaking of wands, we need to go and get your new wand from King Tom, ain't it? Clean forgotten I had. How would you have forgotten? We just were there. Yeah, I guess he's probably found it by now, I reckon. So, Ollie boy, come on, let's head for the palace. Seriously? I literally came here and they... Let's see. I have a leafy mantle already, and I can't do anything with it. Let's see. And this tooth would do +1 attack. Let's sell. We could sell these and get some money. Or we could sell this and get 15. It's probably smart to sell this to start with. It's probably not worth it to sell those. I'm gonna go ahead and just sell 5 of these. I wasted a bunch of money. Alright. So if I was to get the wooden sword, it would be +3 attack for our character. This would be too expensive. This is +2 attack plus magical damage. And plus accuracy. +3 attack he can't use. We probably should focus more on defense too. Let's see. Will any of the defense things work? A wooden shield, yeah, for 80 would be something he could use to increase his shield. We can't buy that, but this would be ideally what you would get. So there's actually very little you can equip here. It's either going to be spend 80 for the wooden shield or spend 70 for this. And I suspect, although I don't know for certain, that buying the most expensive thing now is your best bet. That may increase what kind of drops you get. You may never, or you may have a very low chance of getting a drop of, say, a wooden sword now if he's equipped with a kitchen knife. And that means if we get extra wooden swords or extra kitchen knives instead of extra wooden swords, then that would lead towards that might very well lead towards. I wonder if there's something up there where you might be able to jump and get up there. Yeah. So I'll leave that as my hope, at least, that the act of buying the most expensive thing as early as possible will benefit me more than maybe buying something kind of weak. Although the way it all seems as far as the inventory, it may be that we just end up with having at least one of every weapon unless I sell it anyways. This guy seems new. Apparently a tug-of-war event is about to start. This is so slow. You could also have animated this. See, you know how they didn't animate this hallway, really. So as soon as you cross the line, you just exit there. It would have just made more sense to walk into the castle and start right about here. Even having the camera maybe fly around and show the background as it's on occasion, just to show you what it looks like back there. There's just no real reason to have to walk that much. It's not even probably hiding a load. Well, we all of a sudden see that the king is not there. And then as I was running and twisting the cameras, I felt a little bit of wonkiness. I think we'll probably just run into that always. Like, let's see. Settings. Yeah, none of the settings here would help you. As far as changing the video graphics. And we could talk to this guy, but it's just going to push us down through another quest. And it's already been a while. Yeah, we have about 10 more minutes. We'll talk to him. Oh, gee, thank goodness. You have to help us. Something terrible has happened. Flipping heck, man. Don't tell me the old King Tom's gone and got his heart broken again. No, no. His Majesty's heart is in good working order as far as I know. As far as you know. After you restored him, His Majesty's missing enthusiasm, he was determined to find his old wand so that he could give it to you by way of a reward. So determined, in fact, that he said he'd go and look for it himself. Well, that's good, ain't it? What's all the fuss about? His Majesty has disappeared, eh? The gatekeepers swear that he hasn't left Ding Dong Dell, and yet he's nowhere to be found. I smell a rat here, Ollie boy. Well, I suppose there's only one thing for it, eh? And what's that, Mr. Drippy? A spot of investigation, ain't it? Righto, helmet face. You and your mates keep an eye on the castle. We'll go looking for clues. Yes, understood. But where do we look, Mr. Drippy? Don't worry, Ollie boy. I know the place. You know it very well, in fact. Come on, I'll tell you when we're outside. Okay. So then you just transition to a new area for more dialogue. Where are we going, Mr. Drippy? What's this all about? Somewhere I know real well. Where do you think, clever clogs? Motorville, ain't it? Motorville? Well, what does Motorville have to do with finding the king? Well, the answer ain't always gonna be over here, Ollie boy. Huh? What does that mean? You've got to remember the whole soulmate thing, ain't it? What we see here in this world ain't always the whole picture. Soulmates, okay. Think about it, Ollie boy. Why are you here in our world, eh? Save my mom. They have to kind of remind you of that. It's been so long. Exactly. Your mom is the great sage Alicia's soulmate, right? And we're trying to free Alicia from the soul snare over here so we can help your mom back over there, ain't it? Well, that's what you told me, Mr. Trevi. And I wasn't fibbing. I think you might be fibbing. So people in your world and my world are connected. Not just Alicia and your mom. All people. They are, so? Exactly. There's clever of you. There's someone over in your world who's connected to King Tom over here by here. Is that going to be a human being or is it going to be a cat? And when someone in our world is in a patch, you can sometimes find out how to help them from their soulmate over in your world. Because they're connected, see? Obvious when you think about it, ain't it? So somebody in my world is King Tom's soulmate, huh? That's right. But maybe not a person, and maybe not in such a lofty position as our friend the King Cat. Huh? Well, Shopkeeper's Cat and King of Ding Dong ain't exactly the similar status-wise, is it? Shopkeeper's Cat, I didn't think flipping heck, man. It's like pulling teeth. Okay, so soulmates can look and even act the same, right? We covered that already. So when you first saw King Tom, you instantly thought to yourself, hello, he's a spitting image of Timmy the cat, he is. Oh yeah, there was that cat and that shopkeeper in that cutscene at the very beginning of the game. I did? So you mean King Tom and Timmy Toldrum are but Miss Leela's cat. There's clever of you. Better late than never. But Timmy's just a cat. Exactly. Just like our pal King Tom. So what's so strange about that? Crikey. You're not very perceptive for a youngster. This whole story is getting that Labyrinth, Jim Henson's Labyrinth vibe, where at the end of even at the beginning of the movie, all of the Muppets and creatures that you see in the Labyrinth are actually just like references and dolls in the main girl's room, so the whole thing feels like it's a dream. And they're kind of heavily going into that idea that this whole fantasy world is just being made up in Oliver's mind, and he's just having a psychotic imagination break with reality to deal with the death of his mother. If two people are soulmates, there'll be similarities somewhere. We've got to go keep an open mind and peeled eyes. Spot the similarities and find the soulmate. Gee, I never knew. So Timmy, huh? Timmy indeed, my land. If we can find that fat old football, we might have a clue as to where King Tom's gotten himself to. So magic us up a gateway and let us go over to your world, shall we? Remember how you, don't you? I sure do. Let's see how everybody back in Motorville is doing. Alright, well, I was not really expecting to go back to Motorville quite at this point. And oddly, that magic spell that time just teleported you, whereas originally it summoned a whole magical doorway that you walk through. Okay. It's funny because you kind of just barely gotten to the point of being a different kind of person with your different outfit and with this fairy wandering around. I assume they can't see the fairy. And I suspect we may talk to our friends a little bit, or this may be the beginning of getting a second character or even a third character to join your group. You may very well notice a trope in RPG stories where you end up crashing together with a group of people, like the main protagonist ends up with some other gang of people, a group of people, and then all of a sudden, very quickly, in the first couple hours, you have 5 or 6 people all fighting on the same team, even if they don't really have any reason to be fighting on the same team, just to speed up that whole process. This game has seemingly chosen to not go in that route, and instead is just going to very slowly have us come back to Motorville. It would be kind of shocking if there was no extra companion. If we don't get our friend Phil, or whatever his name, or Starry Mary is what they were calling, if we don't get one or both of them to join our team, that by the time we leave Motorville, that'd be strange. We can see here, as far as completion goes, we are at 10% as far as the Wizard's Book and Companion. We now know we have done 1% of the tasks by doing 2 tasks. As far as dangerous places go, we know we can't. We've still only been 1 people. As far as creature companion, we haven't done anything more. We've got a couple new bits of instruction, but not so much. There's not really a good, like, you can come to this and get a general idea of how many new pages we've gotten, but it is going to be a fairly rough general idea. I don't think we've really done that much. Gotten some new spells, certainly. Let's see. Give Heart is next to Spring Lock. I imagine locking something may be a spell at some point. Yeah, seems like we will slowly get more spells throughout the whole process. I wouldn't be surprised if we have to fix some broken-hearted people in Motorville before we can leave. Wouldn't be surprised if we even end up fighting some people in Motorville. As far as the journal is concerned, we're still only at 14. And it's going to keep a record of all the side quests we do, so there probably aren't going to be things that are too repeatable. I wouldn't be surprised if you need like 10 stamp cards to unlock some of these later merit awards. We'll probably get them all if we do all the side quests. We still don't really know what's the deal here. According to the in-game counter, though, we are 5 hours into this whole experience. That's quite a lot. Also need to start. Like at this point, if I'm scrolling down, I might as well just start writing over some of these. Like, it's unlikely I would need to jump back to 50 hours into the game, or even an hour and 50 minutes into the game. Yep. Alright, well, I think this is as good of a place as we're going to get, and this is also certainly a problem with RPG games, is that they're not designed to have very bespoke places where you can put the controller down and take a break. So that you're going to have to just decide when you want to pause the game and keep on going. Clearly RPG games are designed to make you spend a lot of time playing them. So one thing it does seem like is that Motorville will play a much bigger role in the game, which I wasn't really expecting that. We'll probably will end up having to come back to Motorville at least 4 or 5 times, it feels like. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to further follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.